Welcome back to Buzz on Veterans. I'm your host, Captain Rick Hoffman. We're here back at Veterans United for another week of talking to some folks who are doing some very interesting and exciting things here in Jacksonville. At first, I want to thank our host here at Veterans United again today. Ron, how's everything?
Doing great. But I'm glad to have everyone here today.
My other co-host, Phil, welcome back. And our guest today, Dana, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. And Michael, welcome aboard. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dana,
Sir.
naval aviator,
Yes.
Kilo guy.
Yes.
I got to tell you that when I had, and I know you've been on board both DeWord and Way City.
Right.
We chatted about
Yes.
that. When my helo jet walked on board, I never called them a jet.
Right.
They were my air department.
We appreciate that.
And I embraced them as part of my. You were my longest range, both surveillance and weapon system.
Right. Yes.
Now, not true. When I got to Way City, I had Tomahawk.
Oh well, yeah, a little bit different. A little bit different.
No, but talk to me a little bit about your service.
Sure. So I did most of my time over at Mayport. I was did a JO tour, and Mike and I were talking about this. We crossed paths several times in different squadrons there, but I did all my JO stuff there. Instructing, and I think probably was out with you either as an instructor, taking students out to the boat and trying to learn how to land. But did all my time there. Ended up commanding HSL 42 at the time as my final flying tour, and then finished up there. Did a couple other things, and then came back and was the X7 series USS Virginia. So I had 3,250 sailors and Marines, and tried to manage 2,500 Marines at one time off the coast of Yemen, which is an interesting place right now. But that's where we were at the time. Yes.
Well, again, your aviation career is wonderful. The Commander Tripoli, that's the part that I take off my hat. I had 400 young men and women on Way City.
Oh yeah.
You had quite the different experience. You were the commanding officer of an aircraft carrier.
Yes.
People don't understand that when we talk about our aircraft carriers, we say, well, the British aircraft carrier, the French aircraft carrier. No, those are the same size as our big deck amphibians.
That's right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that was a serious vessel, and you were way deep in harm's way.
That's right. Yeah, we set off the coast, 8-month deployment. We set off for Yemen for pretty much 6 months straight. And before all the things got crazy, just as the Houthis were doing their thing. Yeah. For another world, but yeah, it was an interesting deployment.
And you have your own consulting company.
I do.
Talk about that.
Yes. So after I left the Navy, I worked at Fanatics here locally as an engineer, directive engineer for 5 years. So I learned some industry and brought some of that leadership development to Fanatics, and they worked with me. I wrote 2 books, one of which I gave you guys, Leading, Empowering, Developing, and the other one is Team Training, Education, and Mentorship, based on all of my Navy background and all the other background I had. And so I took that, and after 5 years at Fanatics, I transitioned over to being a consultant. So that's what I'm doing now, working with individual development and team stuff, just like we did in the military. Same thing.
Yeah, wonderful. Mike, you're also coming from the aviation background.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about your Navy service and today.
Jet engine mechanic and AD in the Navy, retired senior chief. Like Dana said, I spent 5 years in HSL 48 and 5 years in HSL 44 over at Mayport. 16 years of my 26 years in the Navy were spent right here in the Jacksonville area. So,
and of course, when you talk to other people in the Navy who end up spending their career in Norfolk or San Diego, they hate you.
Yeah,
they hate you. Yes. They have a word for you. They call you, the Snuggle Bunnies, or the Mayport Mafia.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
And don't get me wrong, I was one of those. To be once you get one of those billets, you hunker down and you protect it as best you can. The problem for guys like us is there's really no shore duty.
Right.
No shore duty. So you go out, you come back, you go out, come back. But I ended up with 17 years of sea duty and 28 years in the Navy, which is very unusual for a guy who becomes a captain.
Right.
I had 17 months in the Pentagon, 2 tours.
Wow.
One 11-month tour and one 6-month tour. The 11-month tour, I had to kill some time between battle groups. I was on Enterprise Battle Group staff. I got screened from Major Command. My boss really thought I needed to get back on a Mayport-based cruiser. The next one available was a year out. So I ran the Tomahawk program for a little less than a year under Admiral Mike Mullen.
Okay.
I was never going to make Admiral. You know me. You've seen me a little bit. You'd get the fact that I'm not your traditional. But Admiral Mullen made certain of it. So I thank you for that. And then when I got ready to retire, I didn't drop my papers in command. I left. I took a set of orders for Admiral Harry Ulrich, who I haven't seen him since Sunday, actually. We golfed together. But he lives in Atlantic Beach. So So I spent 6 months there, just dropped my papers as I was being welcomed aboard by Admiral Edwards. He was very unhappy to meet me.
Yeah.
So tell me a little about what you're doing now.
Right now, I'm a technical recruiter for Flight Star Aircraft Services right here at Cecil Airport.
Okay.
And
What does Flight Star do?
Flight Star is an MRO for the commercial
I don't know what MRO
aviation
means.
maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility. For
These
the
military guys with your acronyms, I tell you.
maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility for the commercial airlines. We have customers like American, Southwest, Delta, United, so forth.
Okay. Well, talk a little bit. It didn't sound like there was a huge leap for you to go from what you were doing to the civilian side.
So I retired in 2014, and mutual friend of Dana and I's, John Goins. John was already retired and was working for a company called Aviation Recruiting, and I was actually going to John to see if I could find a job either in the Jacksonville area or somewhere outside the Jacksonville area, in aviation maintenance. But the company's owners, Mark and Sharon Balgay, both Air Force veterans, owned the company and hired me on the spot as a recruiter, and started doing that. I did that for about 3.5 years, and then another Navy friend of mine, fellow veteran, was actually the program manager for a company called Traxall, which was a aviation maintenance software company, out of Canada, and they he brought me on as a maintenance analyst to work with them for a little while and do some AZ work, if you will, and some logs and records and stuff like that. I did that for about 7 years, and then actually got back into the recruiting business here at Flight Star, and we recruit A&P mechanics and structures and avionics, interiors, and everything.
Wonderful. You said something I want to highlight here. You talk about several people who you knew who reached back and helped give you a hand up. And
Always.
in my leadership talks at the University of North Florida, I'd point out all these kids are hearing about, it's a good old boy network. You got to be in a good old. I said, it's not who you know. It's how you know who you know. Mm-hmm. They don't reach back and help you unless you've demonstrated to them and they're willing to endorse you. They're willing to put their reputation on the line. So it's how you treat the people you meet along the way. And then, of course, you have an obligation to reach back and help someone else along the way.
Always.
And you're doing that now.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, we got to wrap up. Final question here. We talked 250th anniversary of our great nation. We talked a little bit about liberty. What's liberty mean to you?
Pursuit of happiness, freedom. We live in the greatest country in the world, hands down. To me, I've been around the world, and we live in the best.
Okay.
I think liberty is important to all of us. We have our faults, but you can decide to change your stars. You can decide to put in the work and the time and overcome adversity to be whoever you want to be.
I think traveling the world gives you a very good perspective of liberty and what you don't necessarily cherish in the United States, because we've done a couple of vacations here with my family, but obviously with the military, you see that, and they got a chance to see the differences in other countries and some of the restrictions that some folks have and some of the things. So definitely something that is appreciative of what we have here in terms of the different things. I think the World Cup folks got a big eye opener for a lot of that as well.
Well, liberty and I put freedom right beside it is something that we shouldn't take for granted, and it's one that as all of us as veterans, we've stood in harm's way, and we never forget. I mean, everyone enjoys the liberties, but it's the men and women of our service that are out there every day that are protecting it and standing in harm's way, so that we can really appreciate and enjoy it at home.
Yeah. And I would caution two things. First, don't set them in harm's way unless you know what you want to do, unless you have a goal, a strategy, a plan. And the other thing is, let's not forget our history. We have not always been the freest. We've not always been egalitarian in how we've applied those liberties. Women didn't even get to vote till 100 years ago. Okay. Couldn't even get a credit card till the 1960s. Okay. The right to vote in 1960. So we need to we need to build on the generations that we've gone in the past. We do not forget the past, not forget it. Don't be proud of it when it's bad. Be proud of it when it's good, and then build on the good things. That's my message for today.
Yep.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me, and my guest, Mike.
Welcome.
Andrew, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you,
me.
sir.
We'll chat again.
Absolutely.
Looking
Look
forward to it.
to
We'll
it.
see you guys in a few minutes.
All right.
When they leave us for battle, we await their return. When their embrace is gone, we imagine them with us. Some don't come back. We grieve. Some come back hurting. We help. Heroes survive. We honor them. Heroes fall. We remember them. 150,000 veterans live in Jacksonville. We serve them. We're the Military Affairs and Veterans Department, City of Jacksonville. Because of them, our light never dims.